Meat City, baby.
Hello and welcome back to Meat City Gaming. JD here with another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video, and today we're covering the championship round in the latest 5v5 Grand Arena. This one took place a little while ago. In the meantime, we had the Darth Revan announcement, so my schedule got switched around a little bit. So this one's a little bit out of date, but the point of the video is to show some of the strategy and the matchups that work in Grand Arena for you to consider for your next Grand Arena tournament. So the fact that it already happened a little while ago is fine, because the lessons will still hold true in terms of the strategies that you can use and the matchups and the counters and all of that. So we're going to jump into it. This is, again, the championship match. I like to jump straight to these. In most of the Grand Arenas, some of the early matchups are not worth a video. Either a no-show on defense or I have a vastly superior roster, so I run over the guy, and that's not useful for anybody to see that when it happens. But instead, this championship match for, I think, the second time ever, my very first Grand Arena, I was up against somebody who had Revan, and this was after only the first instance of Revan appearing, and I didn't have Revan, and I got crushed. But just about every Grand Arena since then, I've been the most favored roster, I guess you would say, as the Grand Arenas progressed. I was at the top, and so I should have won, and I did. But in this one, going into it, my evaluation of the rosters had me as the second best roster, with one being more powerful than mine in my view. Thankfully, we ended up in facing each other in the championship round, and that's what I'm going to show you guys today. So this is me versus Sailor's Discord. Shout out to him, put up a great match. You're going to see through the video here, it is a tight matchup. It comes down to the wire. A lot of thought and strategy had to go into this, and it was a lot of fun. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. I hope they had a good time too, and I hope you guys get something out of watching the video. So there's a lot of useful tools out there. Of course, if you're in a guild, if you're on Discord, you are probably going to be aware of these tools, but there are these war bots and these bots that you can use to match up your roster versus your opponents. And of course, the low technology effort is to just click into the Grand Arena, and you can pull up the roster of anybody that's in your bracket. And so as I do that, I come in here, and we can see my opponent had a strong group of Gear 12 characters, more than me. And so when put up on the screen here is the printout from my Warbot put together by Baku from the Enterprising Starship Guild. Great work to him and to all those other people who put time and effort into the bots on Discord. They really make life easier for me, the average player, and I'm sure the guild leaders and organizers who put things together like territory battles and territory war strategies really appreciate the tool. So there's a lot of cool ones out there. If you're struggling with a facet of the game, do a little research. There's probably a tool and probably a Discord tool that will make your life easier. So as you can see on the screen, I've got the matchups, and of course the galactic power is very close, slight advantage to him. I have a little bit of extra ship GP, which is probably why we got paired together, which isn't valuable here because there are no ships in this Grand Arena. But the thing that really stuck out to me is the Gear 12 characters. I had 29 at the time versus 39 for my opponent. So a vast, significant amount more of Gear 12 characters. And as you can see from the screen here, they're good characters. These are meta teams. These are high quality characters, maxed out Ewoks, high tier Jedi, First Order, bounty hunters, the solo characters, like really good characters at Gear 12. There are no weaknesses here. Usually you look through and you say, okay, do they have Revan? Yep. Okay, do they have Traya? Yep. Okay, do they have Night Sisters? Yep. So just a solid squad from my opponent, and definitely outclassed me in Gear 12 characters. But the thing that I had a slight advantage in is the mod game. I have some mods of higher speed than my opponent. So, at first I saw that and I was pretty demoralized that 10 more characters, Gear 12 characters than me. But the fact that I had a little bit of an edge in the mods made me think, if I really buckled down and I got everything right and I guessed right on the strategy, maybe I could pull it off. So what I thought I needed to do is go for a really strong offense, because I knew if I just loaded up my defense, he was probably going to be able to blast through it anyway. If I went like half and half, put my Jedi Knight Revan on defense, and he put his Jedi Knight Revan on defense, I probably wouldn't get through his, and he would probably clear me easier. So I just set a bare bones defense and saved all of my most powerful teams for offense. So let's take a look at that now. So in this version of the 5v5 Territory Wars with no ships, you need to set 6 defenses, 2 in each of the front 2 territories, and 1 in each of the back 2 territories at my GP. Lower GP you may have less, higher GP you may have more. But for me, at the 3 million galactic power bracket, it's 6 total teams. So I identified, I think I actually found my 7 most powerful teams and saved all of them for offense. So my defense, it's scrubby. Just kind of a thrown together Rebels team. I tried to do some synergy. My mostly Gear 8 or so Phoenix team. An Ewok team led by Zeta Chirpa, First Order with Kru. But again, these are not Gear 12 teams. These are not max teams. They don't have the best characters. They're just fairly decent teams with good synergy that have decent gear but not top of the line gear. The most powerful team that I saved for defense was my Zeta Emperor Palpatine with Vader, TIE Fighter Pilot, Death Trooper, and Probe Droid. I hid that in the back, and I thought maybe that could surprise him. That team can get a lot of turn meter generation going, and maybe you don't have your best squads because you use some early. And so that was my, my Hail Mary that maybe I could get a defense out of this setup. But that was it. I really wasn't thinking anything else would get a defense. And my final territory was a Darth Maul lead with a bunch of Sith characters. Again, that is not an optimal lineup. If they were fully geared, maybe there'd be some potential there, but these guys are scraping the bottom of the barrel. And as you can see, my opponent cleared them. One-shot my entire squad and put up 1,545 points. So I went through and I did the math to try and figure out what it is that I would need to do on offense to beat that total. That's one of the advantages to waiting to do your attacks, is if your opponent goes first, you can figure out what you need to do and go for broke. If you know you need a certain point total, then you might need to take some risk and you can take it. If you go first and you might be a little overly cautious, then you might leave some points on the board and leave an opening for your opponent. But I don't play that kind of gamesmanship. Grand Arena ends during the middle of the workday for me. I play at night. This is my time. So whether my opponent's gone or not, this is when I'm going to go. I was just fortunate in this instance that my opponent had already gone. So the math worked out that I needed to average 58.5 banners in each territory to win. So that's one-shotting with pretty high health and protection on most of my characters. It's not perfect, but there's not a lot of room for error. So I needed to come up with a plan to organize the characters and figure out the attack that I was going to do to make this work. So looking at my opponent's defense, he had a Jin lead Rogue One squad and a Phoenix squad here as well. And notice this Phoenix squad is better geared than mine. So here are the squads that I saved for my attack. And it is Traya-led Triumvirate with Thrawn and Sith Trooper, my CLS with Han and Chewie, Jedi Training Rey, Resistance, my Trooper Squad, Bosk-led Bounty Hunters, and Jedi Knight Revan. Those are the 6 squads that I plan to use, and I think there's one more. I knew that each one of these squads had to go 1 for 1. And I don't know what's in my opponent's back territory, so there are 2 squads that are hidden back there, so I want to save my 2 best offensive squads for those battles because they might be his best, right? He could have Jedi Knight Revan hiding back there, and if I don't save my Jedi Knight Revan, there's no way I'm getting through it. So we're saving Jedi Knight Revan, and we're saving CLS-led Rebels. Those are my 2 most powerful teams. So the other 4 teams I have need to match up against his 4 front teams, and I need to do it in as good, as most efficient a way as possible. So I thought Imperial Troopers for this Rogue One squad made sense. And mostly that's because you get the bonus against Rebels with Imperial Troopers, and he also has this weak POW here. Whenever there's a weak enemy in a squad, that's fodder for the Troopers. You get that first kill, and then your Troopers start rolling, and it's a whole lot of trouble for the enemy team. They regenerate protection, so even if they take some damage, they're a really good squad to finish with full health and full protection. And as you can see, this Rogue One team is melting under my Imperial Troopers, and it's a 60-point win, so that's awesome. They did the job perfectly, and full health, full protection. The only question is, could I have left one of them out to go for bonus points there? But again, you don't want to get too cute here. I knew that I needed 58.5 points. Full health, full protection with a full squad is 60, so I am ahead of the average that I need. So next up, we've got the Phoenix Squad team. And once again, we're saving CLS, we're saving Jedi Knight Revan. I think the Triumvirate is a little bit overkill for this team. So we're going to go with Jedi Training Rey. A good resistance squad, powerful, control turn meter, can regenerate some health and protection. But the dilemma that I'm facing is I don't want to waste R2-D2 on this squad. I really want to save him for my CLS squad. He makes that team better, and I don't have a great replacement for him. So because the squad I'm going up against in this matchup isn't maxed, I thought I can save R2-D2 and replace him with somebody else and make this a little bit better and make my CLS squad more powerful. I'm worried he's got CLS with Han and Chewie and R2-D2 in his back row, so I want my best chance to go at it, and I think I can come at this, not maxed Phoenix squad with a little less in the bag. So I decided to do that by bringing in Poe instead of R2-D2 for this team. And as we play through the battle here, we'll see that is definitely a little bit of a mistake because my Poe is really weak. And so he doesn't really have protection, and his health is really easy to get damaged. And even above all that, he's easy to take out here. I could have lost him completely. And mostly because his main move to pop the exposes is to taunt and draw fire to himself. So it was a bit of a risk here. I thought, man, maybe I'll get the turn meter train rolling so well. I'll pop 4 exposes on Poe's taunt that I'll just run through it and he won't ever get hit. But it was a mistake, and so would it have been better to just leave Poe out and roll with 4? Probably. The main weakness against Phoenix Squad is area attacks. You don't want to do big spam attacks that hit all of them because they can do all those counters, and when they're doing counters, they're chipping away at your health and protection. So I think that was the mistake, and if I was doing this again, I would probably try it by leaving Poe out and just going with 4 on the squad. Ideally, I would run this team with Holdo as the tank. She can daze, like she's great in this squad, but I don't have her anywhere near ready. So I thought Poe would be okay for the 5th, and I wanted to make sure I had 5 characters to keep that Terminator train rolling. And yeah, I would welcome your thoughts in the comments below if you think I should have left Poe out, or you think I probably needed him in here to get those extra exposes and get the train rolling. Personally, I probably could have left him out. It would have saved the extra points from the character, and I wouldn't have lost points for not being at full health or full protection. So you can see we put up 57 banners, which is below what we needed, but we're still okay. 60 and 57, we're actually right on target in terms of what we need in order to pull off the victory here. So that's 68.5, but that was definitely not the performance that I was looking for. We needed to do a little bit better. So we clear that top territory, and there he is hiding in the back row is Jedi Knight Revan. And yes, it is the lineup that you would expect with Jedi Knight Revan, the premium lineup. They're all gold, they're gear 12, so that is going to be the final task. Can we take out that Jedi Knight Revan team with ours? If we can get the rest of this done, that's going to be the final battle to determine if we can win this Grand Arena Championship match. So before we get there, we want to expose the lower back territory again, just so we know what we're dealing with. We have all the information. So on the bottom territory here, we have a bounty hunter squad, and it's led by Boba Fett, and it has the thermal detonator squad, which is an interesting team that you don't see a whole lot. At least I haven't seen it a whole lot with my experience in Grand Arena. This team can generate a lot of turns, bonus turns, turn meter with thermal detonators exploding. So I didn't want to mess around. I only need to save my 2 teams in the back, CLS and Jedi Knight Revan. So I'm bringing the Traya-led Triumvirate here. This is heavy hitters, maybe a little bit more than I would need, but again, I was a little bit afraid of what this team could do if it starts popping thermal detonators, that it could get out of hand. So for me, the big threat here is Zam in the back. If she hits somebody with her basic that has thermal detonators, it pops them, and then she gets turn meter and things to get out of hand. So I control her early. I put isolate on Boba Fett. That way I think if I kill him, he won't get his revive from his Mandalorian buff. I'm not sure if that works. We'll see here in the battle if it did. But it turns out that Annihilate comes up, and I decide to take out Boba Fett and remove all doubt. I didn't even want to worry about it. Boba Fett is the damage on this team. His execute is kind of their one big hit that can deal a lot of damage very quickly. So I said, let's not mess with any of that. Let's get Boba Fett out of the way, and now we can shut down the rest of the team. Again, we've got heavy hitters here. We can fracture, we can isolate, we can annihilate. The Triumvirate is really, really strong, and knowing that I only have this team and Ewoks to deal with, and I have a plan for those Ewoks, I decided to bring the Triumvirate here against the Bounty Hunters, and we can see this is working very well. So now, I have this team under control. At this point, I'm actually trying to slow down and recover and get as close to full health and protection as I can. I'm trying to use protection regeneration on Scion for his big attack there. I want Thrawn's second special that can heal and regenerate protection. I want to basically get my guys back up as healthy as possible while doing as little damage as possible so I can get all of the points possible out of this encounter. So again, I could fracture there, but instead, I just want to use the basic. I want to do the smallest amounts of damage, take these turns, cycle through. I'm hoping to get one more heal from Thrawn. And I don't really want to be taking a bunch of hits. There we go. Thrawn's heal comes up. And I think if we go for Sith Trooper, he's full. Thrawn gets back up to full. And that's going to be a pretty good result here. We're going to finish off Dengar. And we can see 58 banners. So again, a little bit below the average. And at this point, I'm a bit concerned because I am not where I need to be. And I don't have easy fights coming in those back rows. I know I've got Jedi Knight Revan there. So this is where the rubber meets the road. This was my ace up my sleeve. It's an Ewok team, and I'm going to go in with just Enfy's Nest. I'm going to try a solo nest against this Ewok team, and I reached out to my guild for some advice on this, and the feedback and support I got was great. Again, I cannot stress enough how important it is in this game to join up with a good guild. The benefits are amazing, along with the camaraderie and the bonding and the increased rewards. It's just great to be part of a community and help each other out. And Enterprising Starship, the guild that I'm in, shout out to those guys. They are amazing, and they are what makes this game continue to be fun to play. So they said, bring in the solo nest, you'll probably be okay. And here's why. There's no days on the enemy team. They don't have low gray. And that's kind of the only downside here. Low grade can daze, which means you don't get your counterattacks. Without the daze, Enfys is just going to counterattack all day, and every time she crits, she's building up her critical damage, so her attacks eventually get more and more powerful. So she's kind of charging up, and the Ewoks work on tons and tons of small hits. Well, every hit that goes on to Enfys Nest gives her a protection up buff, so they're just feeding her protection. They can't Alpha Strike her. They don't have one big hit that's going to take her out. They just have all these tiny little hits, and so they keep recharging her, and anytime she gets attacked by somebody who's not in stealth, she's going to counter. So she's charging up, she's chipping away, and the main target we want to take down here is Ewok Elder, because if we take anybody else out, Elder can res them, and then we're not making progress if we take somebody out and it gets brought back. So you can see we had a chance to do an offensive strike on a weakened Elder. We take him out, and now this team is going to fall apart here very quickly. The only risk or downside to this strategy is, are you going to time out? Because you are going to get, it's just you counterattacking for a minute, and then you get a turn, and you get to choose your target and make a strike. But my nest is powerful enough. She is gear 12. I don't have her maxed, but she's doing the job here, and against these Ewoks, we're slowly taking them down. The other good thing is she removes buffs, and she can't be evaded. So even if they have Foresight, you're still going to hit them, and the hit is going to strip Foresight and any other buffs. And you can see when we finish off that squad, because we only used a single character, we put up 63 banners. We had a full health unit. We didn't have full protection. One surviving unit. The unused slots, 16 bonus points. So that is a 63 banner win, and that was the key to getting ahead of the average that I needed. Now I'm in really good shape. I just need a solid finish here in these two back territories, and we have a chance at winning this. So this was the point where the adrenaline got pumping a little bit. Early on, I was just dreading it. I thought, it's kind of inevitable. There's no way I'm going to get through this. But now at this point, when I used the solo nest to defeat the Ewok squad, realized that I was in pretty good shape. And bonus that we see the back territory here is a First Order squad. It's not CLS-led rebels. So I'm thinking, good, that's going to be a much easier time than the CLS-led Rebels, because they can just take you out. If the RNG goes the wrong way, or their Han shoots first and takes out one or two of your characters, maybe you'll win, but you lose 2 characters. Is that going to be enough? It can be a bit of a crazy RNG fest. But we don't have to worry about it because it's First Order. So, an interesting thing to think here, I did have, I believe, my Night Sisters as well. And would Night Sisters have been a better choice against the First Order team here? I don't think so. The problem is, First Order kind of feeds off of debuffs and crits and all that stuff, and my Rebel team kind of doesn't play into that very well. Ideally, what you would want is a heal block. Jedi Training Rey is the kind of the best counter for First Order. She can use her special, prevent heals, and then you can kind of hack them down one at a time and not have a problem. But I didn't know that, right? I was worried that it was CLS left back here behind them, so I used my Jedi Training Rey early rather than save her. So something to consider. If you don't see First Order, you might want to consider trying to save your Jedi Training Rey to take them out, because a maxed Jedi Training Rey, a maxed First Order squad, can be really tough to get through because of all the health and protection regen. And we're going to see that here. They've got Kylo Ren in the back, and he is just a defensive machine. It's so hard to deal damage to him. Now, thankfully, Chewbacca has the bonus percent to health damage, but Kylo Ren kind of blocks that. So it's this big back and forth battle of, can I just use the overwhelming power of my my Rebel squad, these heavy hits, these alpha strikes, to get through Kylo Ren. And it's not looking good, but eventually we get some exposes packed on there, and one alpha strike from Commander Luke Skywalker, one big wallop. We take him out, and we do it with a 60 banner, full health, full protection, full team win. So we're in really good shape. We're way ahead of the average that we needed at this point, the 58.5 points. There is only one battle left, and it's Jedi Knight Revan. So the good news is I am very experienced in Jedi Knight Revan mirror matches, or Jedi Knight Revan matches, as that's what I do 20 times a day when I'm climbing in my arena every single day. So I know how this match works, and I know how to do it, but there are still some times where you aren't able to do it in time. If they have a really good squad, or they get the right res, or the right turn meter, or the right turn order, you can time out. You can not finish the team off in time. Once in 30, you could lose to a team that's really defensively constructed, or if things don't go your way. So I'm a little bit worried. I know if I win, then I'm going to win this Grand Arena finale, and I really want to do it now. I'm so pumped up. So their Jedi Knight Revan goes first, but that's not a big threat to me here. That's how most of these go when I do my arena climb, because I use the Hermit Yoda squad, which takes an Old Republic Jedi out of the lineup, and that slows down Revan a little bit. So I usually go second, but that's not a problem because of the extra heal, because of the extra call to assist that you get with Hermit Yoda and his Master's Training. And also what I like is you don't have to use him to just wallop with an extra basic attack on Jolee when Jolee is the last target standing. If you've got Bastila and you've got to attack Jolee, she's going to hit him and he's going to counter. Hermit Yoda doesn't generate counter, so that's really good as well. So we are able to focus down their Jedi Knight Revan. We get the mark cleared off of our Jolee. We did burn our Savior, but we were able to both burn their Savior and get their Jedi Knight Revan down. And now the next thing we want to do is get through Kenobi and then hopefully take out Jolee as fast as possible before he's able to res. So we mark their Jolee, and that should reduce his cooldowns or increase his cooldowns by 1. So he shouldn't be able to do a revive. And then, wow, before he even gets to take the opportunity, Grandmaster Yoda comes in and does a huge hit. I'm guessing their Jolee was modded a little bit inefficiently. A lot of people do a defense or a health setup so that Jolee is really tanky. We were lucky there. We got a 60,000 crit on Jolee and took him out very quickly. And once Jolee is gone, then the team is just going to fall apart. They don't have the revive mechanics at that point. There's no heals. So all I have to do now is be careful, pick them off one at a time, We got Yoda out of the way. We're going to go for Kenobi next. They are going to get some counterattacks, so we want to be careful about that, but every time we're calling assists, we're regenerating protection, and now it looks like things are in really good shape. It's just Bastila, and we've got the win here. That was it. So a really, really cool experience for me here to go in as the underdog, think about it really hard. What strategy did I want to take? And I decided to go with the all-offense strategy, and it pays off. There we can see 60 banners for that win, full health, full protection, and that's enough to pull this off. So a little bit of strategy ahead of time on deciding how to use my squads for offense, trying to, outperform him. But again, if he waited for the last hour, would I have risked the solo nest on the Ewoks? I don't know. That's a good question. But doing all that, it worked out. All the matchups played out just the way I wanted to, with the exception of the First Order with CLS. It would have been better if I had Jedi Training Rey for that. And then, of course, when I used my Jedi Training Rey team with Poe, probably not the best choice. But after all that, 1558 to 1545. A great win, a close match, and something that was kind of a cool experience for me. Grand Arena, to me, if you come in as the favored lineup, it's only downside, right? If you're supposed to win and you do win, well, great, you did what you're supposed to, but it doesn't have that extra edge to it. And in this one, I felt like I had a little bit of a bonus edge to it because I don't think I was favored based on the lineup. And so it was really nice to be able to pull that off and turn that into a win. So it was a lot of fun there. I got to give Grand Arena credit. In this case, I think it checked all the boxes for me, created some suspense and some tension and a really cool adrenaline moment at the end there that rewarded the strategy and the execution. So hopefully you guys found this video enjoyable, or you found it useful, you learned something about the matchups. Feel free to let me know what you think about the strategy when you have this kind of matchup. If you're the underdog, what do? Do you go all offense? Do you go all defense? Do you always go with a split? Let me know your thoughts. Again, I'm not an expert at this. I'm kind of figuring it out as I go. But I've been having some good success, and this was certainly a successful Grand Arena run. So I wanted to share it. It was a lot of fun for me, so hopefully you guys enjoyed it as well. Let me know in the comments. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time.